Okay, we're live. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 192 that we're going to call election security for now. It'll probably change depending on all the news we got. But anyway, it's Halloween here. We're recording. Finally, everyone stopped coming by. We did actually have a lot of trick-or-treaters. Again, my name is Haim Cohen. Let's ask Tom how his trick-or-treating situation was.
I actually didn't have a trick-or-treating situation. My apartment building didn't get a whole lot of Halloweeners in it. So
what I tried today is I just went to random desks at work and just said trick or treat, and I was 3 for 3 with candy.
Nice.
And I just randomly asked, and I got candy. I'm gonna try it tomorrow. I'm gonna try it tomorrow.
You should. The place I usually go to lunch on Wednesdays, they were actually handing out candy with every order, which is pretty nice.
So if you didn't try asking for candy, you know what? I bet you can social engineer some candy tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
Or it was already too late. But anyway, I was able to do it. So our main topic today is election security, but we got a couple of things ahead of time, so hopefully we do it. Let's first start with Signal. So we always talk about how Signal is our messaging platform of choice for like really bulletproof security. Basically, the problem always is the metadata. So the to and the from are there, and there's really no way to get rid of it. So Signal thinks they have a solution, and they posted on their blog the other day, and they're hoping to obviously roll this out soon.
Yeah, so this is currently in beta. I wouldn't update to the beta client unless you are super okay with bugs, with reporting bugs, with working with the Signal developers to get things fixed. I mean, like beta testing, absolutely necessary. You'd be doing a great service to the Signal project by doing it. But if you rely on Signal to communicate with people, you might want to stay on the stable version or maybe use a different phone. But what this does is it essentially encrypts the from information inside of the encrypted envelope. So like if you imagine a piece of mail like as a Signal message, right? On the front of the envelope, you've got from and you've got to today, and inside you've got anything you could stuff in the envelope. Nobody knows what's in it because it's super awesome and encrypted. But it would be easy for somebody to, somebody who's snooping to say, okay, a message is going from this person to this person. We don't know what they're talking about, but we do see a connection here. This update would actually hide the from information. So me sending a message to you, you would receive the message, but all that from information and identifying information from me would actually be wrapped up inside of the encrypted envelope. You wouldn't know who it came from until you unpacked it, which is exactly the point. If somebody can't decrypt the message, they can't figure out who it came from. And this is a huge win for privacy.
So my two questions. First is, so I'm just going to get you've received a new message and I'm going to have to decrypt. No?
Nope. Okay. Well, so the way it would work is your client would receive the message. Now, at right when it gets the message, right when it gets a payload, it doesn't know who it came from, right? But your client then authenticates the message and says, okay, has this been tampered with? If it hasn't, it says, okay, we're good. This is a valid message. Let's go ahead and decrypt it. And when it decrypts it, that's where it gets the from information. So the notification you get today, or when this comes out, won't be any different than the stuff you get today. You'll still get, hey, you got a message from Tom. It says, what's up?
Okay.
Yeah, the only thing that changes is, on the back-end systems, the from information is going to be encrypted.
Now the next question is it forward secrecy? So the from will change, the encrypted blob will change each time, or is it the same encrypted? Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the right way to do it.
Yep. Signal is relying on exactly the same type of encryption scheme they've been using this entire time, which means you're getting all the great stuff like, super temporary keys that change all the time. You're getting perfect forward secrecy, and Signal's not requiring any more data out of you, which means that the only things they'll be able to give law enforcement is the Unix timestamp of when you signed up for the account and the Unix timestamp of the last time your device talked to their servers, and that's it. So great win for privacy. These devs are top notch. They keep putting out, better and better updates, and Signal keeps getting more and more capable. This is good.
My only problem with Signal overall, and this is why I probably usually default to WhatsApp or iMessage, is if something goes wrong, so you get a new phone, you get an update, you're doing something, you cross country lines, you're roaming, whatever it is, sometimes Signal doesn't work, and it's a pain to troubleshoot. And they obviously do it on purpose. And when we talk about the compromises that, let's say, WhatsApp takes or whatever else, it's Signal takes no compromises, and you're stuck. So, but what I did find is if you're ever really stuck, uninstall, reinstall. Don't just stop using it. And if you format your phone, Signal has an unregister your phone number, which, because like I have friends who will just, I don't know, get a new phone or not uninstall, and then I never see the message. It goes into this purgatory. So if you're changing or you're uninstalling Signal because it's not working, whatever it is, they have an uninstall thing on their site where you put your phone number in, and it like releases your username or your phone from the system.
Yeah, which is really nice. iMessage actually has this exact same issue where people going from an iPhone to Android, their friends would send them iMessages, but like the way it's exposed on an iPhone is if two iPhones are talking to each other, it just uses iMessage, right? And it uses the phone number as the identifier. You don't specify, I want to send an SMS or an iMessage here. It just makes the choice for you. It's kind of an ease of use thing. But if you don't have iMessage anymore because you're on an Android phone, any message that your friends send you just kind of disappears into the void. Now, this might be fixed in later versions of iOS. I haven't checked recently. But yeah, it's a common problem. Glad to see they worked on a solution here.
It's just it's annoying because someone resets their phone, or like my parents went on a cruise and Signal wasn't working, and it's one of those, maybe before, at least with T-Mobile, before you go somewhere where you're going to switch carriers, like you're roaming, figure out maybe you should uninstall Signal, like check your threat model, try and figure it out, or just be ready to do it once you get there, because it has happened. And I just want to bring it to people's attention. Signal is not the easiest to use, but if you have some common sense, your life becomes better.
Yeah, the more I use Signal, the more I really do like it. Unfortunately, it's not as usable as WhatsApp. Not yet. It's getting there. Like little changes here or there. Even their desktop apps are way better today than they were, 3 months ago. But it's just not quite on the level where I could recommend it wholesale to everyone. If you do need a messenger with security, it's the only way to go.
And again, WhatsApp is encrypted inside the contents of the message. Now, their metadata is fully available. They will give you your profile, your Facebook profile, your Instagram profile, and everything else. But if that's already out there, again, you have to check your threat model, but the contents will be encrypted.
Yeah, and WhatsApp, we should mention again, WhatsApp for their message encryption isn't using some weird homegrown thrown together thing. They actually worked with Open Whisper systems. They worked with the people behind Signal to implement the Signal protocol into WhatsApp. So it still has the same kind of bulletproof encryption around it that Signal does. But I don't know if they're keeping up with the latest developments in the protocol, like sealed sender.
Well, again, WhatsApp in the coming weeks apparently are going to introduce ads into their story feature, which we were discussing today. Remember, WhatsApp is owned by Facebook and everything else, but the message itself is encrypted. So again, their client is beautiful, but you have to work with that.
Yep.
Anyway, so next thing, you're going to have to explain this, and I should know a little bit more about it, is they found a way to exploit TOTP.
Yes. So what this is apparently someone at unix-ninja.com, a very, very well-known hacker, security guru, white hat. They at DEF CON, they were discussing one of the RFCs, which is basically a way to say, hey, I'm developing a public protocol. to be used by people on the internet. RFC is request for comments. Can you tell me why this is a good or a bad idea? They were discussing RFC 6238, which is on TOTP, a time-based one-time password algorithm, which we all know as Google Authenticator or Authy, or other systems that use the 6-digit code with just a timestamp, no required internet connection for two-factor authentication. And it turns out that a lot of the providers of Google Authenticator style two-factor authentication have been choosing some poor defaults, including using a SHA-1 HMAC function and 10 bytes of security for their secrets. So yeah, not 16 that the RFC recommends, but 10 bytes. And what this basically means for end users is that if somebody gets a rough timestamp and your code and has two distinct timestamps with your code, they can actually run it through Hashcat, which is a program basically meant to brute force hashes to crack passwords. It does a lot of cool things. Hashcat's actually a wonderful piece of software, but you can now throw those pieces of information into Hashcat and crack many Google Authenticator two-factor authentication secrets, which means somebody can use your two-factor. This isn't good. Thankfully, it's a pretty easy fix server side. They increase the length of the secret. 32 bytes works fine. These are super small pieces of data we're talking about. So you increase it from 10 to 32 bytes. And as far as your hash function goes, you can use a SHA-512 HMAC. Works just fine. Actually, for fun, I decided to implement TOTP and switch the non-secure stuff to a secure version. It's actually a really simple code change. That said, it does require the website you're using to change it on their back end, and you will have to reset up your two-factor authentication with a brand new code. For the end users, the only advice I can give you is don't randomly post your two-factor authentication codes around the internet. I know people have taken screenshots like as examples, like, oh, hey, here's how Google Authenticator works. In 30 seconds, those codes are invalid anyway, or 60 seconds, depending on how the site's set up. But that's not good. With enough of those, somebody could actually impersonate you and get your TOTP secret.
Look, it's a lot of, this is a lot of insider baseball here, but again, we tell people that you need some sort of second factor, and we advise you against SMS based ones, but the fact that SMS based ones are still better than no second factor, we keep on talking about how even that's better. Then the third thing is, if you can move off of SMS based and move to TOTP, that's better. And this you can't stop, because this is, like you said, server side, but it's one of those things you should just be aware of.
Yeah, it's not the death of Google Authenticator, and it's certainly not a hair on fire problem. OMG, everyone's getting hacked. It's one of those things that, okay, this is absolutely a flaw. We absolutely recognize that. It should be fixed. It will be fixed. The RFC is probably going to get updated, or a new RFC to take its place. It's not the worst news in the world, but it's certainly an interesting development. The security is just not as good as it should be. There are definitely cracks in the armor here.
The problem is that we shouldn't have any of this to begin with. There should be a new way to authenticate. And if you can figure out what that is, you'll probably make a lot of money.
So some people have, and I actually am now fully 100% on board the U2F or FIDO train. It's magical. It really is. I love the YubiKeys. I love U2F keys. They're cheap. They're easy. It's super over the top secure right now. They're great. Anytime I want to log into a site that supports U2F, put in my password, the YubiKey blanks, I tap the thing, it's done. Like no codes, no looking at my phone, no typing in my passcode to unlock it, no finding the Google Authenticator app, no waiting on a text message from some random service that may or may not get to me, no waiting on a text message that may or may not send because I use a Google Voice number for most things. Like U2F is magic. And if you can, go, spend the $5 or $10 to get a U2F YubiKey, do it. Because it works with a lot of sites. Doesn't work with everything, granted, but for the sites that do use it, it really goes a long way to improving your security posture. And here's the best part: it's way lazier. Way lazier. It is so simple and more secure, which is, super rare.
The problem is I put my keychain in the little keychain bucket by the door, and then I'm sitting on the couch, and it's just. And every time I close Chrome and LastPass wants to authenticate, I actually have to get up.
So my most basic threat model does not involve my laptop getting stolen. So if you can use a YubiKey Nano and just stick that thing in there and like slap the side of your computer whenever you need a 2-factor code, that's what I've been doing, and it works great.
I have one YubiKey Nano, and it's upstairs where I'm recording. So it's.
Yeah.
I have to figure it out.
Most of these services actually let you register multiple YubiKeys to an account. I know at the very least, Google lets you register, at least 2. I haven't tried with more YubiKeys to your 2-factor. So, worth a look.
I mean, I have 2 because we got the 2, and then GitHub had some promotion, so I got another 2. Nice. So I have 4 now. And I think over Thanksgiving, when I have some time, I'm going to start moving, like you said, onto the more U2F bandwagon, because it is awesome. And maybe I'll purchase another Nano to keep around because, like you said, it is awesome.
And if you're a hacker or somebody who puts together their own stuff, U2F is not just for people running big sites. You can actually do some really cool things on the command line with U2F and SSH. So, dig around in Yubico's docs. They do have examples of this stuff. And it's pretty stellar, especially if you want to go above and beyond with your SSH security.
We're going to come back to U2F every time there's a password issue. But for next, let's move on. So The Verge, and I'm not that fond of The Verge as far as like deep drilling, but they did some good work, and they somehow got a copy of the OEM for Google Android. So if you don't know, Android is designated as AOSP, Android Open Source Project, and basically you can take AOSP and put it on any device you want. That was the whole thing. However, if you want Google Play, like the Play Store and Gmail and Google Calendar and everything else, Google Play services, you have to agree to Google's terms of service. And so the problem is all these companies were putting them on and agreeing to something, but they didn't have to agree to updates. So Google apparently last year, the beginning of 2018, said, you got to start doing that. And they're saying now that the newest one starting in January, that if you're on Android Oreo, so we're on P, the one before was Oreo, you have to commit to keep no bug lasting longer than 90 days. So basically you have to agree to 1 year of updates with at least 4 updates. And the second year needs to have like at least 1 or 2, which is not the greatest thing, but it's still a huge step forward from no updates.
Yeah. So the writing's been on the wall for a while now with Android. Google is looking at Apple. Apple's like, hey, we don't have a fragmentation problem because we control literally everything about an iPhone's experience. No matter what your carrier is, no matter where you bought it from, you're always going to be running the latest version of iOS, and Apple themselves is feeding you updates. Not the case with Android, especially because for most people with an Android phone, you bought the phone from your carrier. Or maybe even you bought it online, right? So let's go with the carrier model. That's how most people get their phones. They've got an Android phone. For Google to release a security update that gets to you, Google has to identify a bug, make a fix, push a fix to AOSP. Okay, now it gets tested. It goes through the official channels. Google says, okay, this is an update package. It's good. And then they feed it to the phone's manufacturer. So like Motorola, LG, Samsung. They then take the patch and like, okay, we're going to make this fit into our system. So we've made some modifications to Android, make sure it all works and applies correctly. And then they feed it to your carrier, who has also most likely made modifications to your operating system. And then they have to integrate everything. And eventually, hopefully, on a good day when the sun, moon, and stars align, you will get an update. Most of the time, this is in a 3-month window where someone says, okay, we're taking all the security updates for the past 3 months, crunching it into one OTA update, and pushing it to your phone. That's a whole lot of steps. With Apple, they just don't have to worry about any of that stuff. So Google is trying and has been trying to tackle this fragmentation problem for a very long time. And this is just the latest in the steps. I can almost guarantee that sometime in the next 2 to 3 years, which is forever in technology, it's an era. Google is going to say, hey, you have to accept security updates directly from us. We are going to push security updates directly to everyone's phones. If you want Google Play, you gotta agree.
Look, it's they started with Project Treble, which we may have talked about. Basically, was the underlying layer that was trying to get this out faster. This has been going on for years, and it's not with the big guys, even though it is. It's with the knockoffs that you don't hear about. Like, none of these phones from these companies. There are a lot of Chinese manufacturers that will push something and they'll never update it. And we've talked about this. Android Pie has been released since August, and I don't think the Galaxy phones have them yet. I think the Essential phone was the first one to get it, but I think that's it. So these feature updates, these security updates. Now, Samsung's been good. They've been claiming that they've been pushing out monthly updates, but still, it's one of those you're just hoping and praying. To the point, to the effect that Tom and I were talking about this last week. You know what? If you're not buying a Pixel, we shouldn't even recommend it. Your two phones should be either an iPhone or some version of the Google Pixel that's still in support.
Yeah. So I actually, my wife just moved to an iPhone. She was on a Nexus 6P. It just got presumably its last security update in October this month. And we decided we were just done with it. Google is charging as much as an iPhone for the new Pixel 3. Apple devices generally get, more security updates for longer. If we're paying the same price, we're getting the same features out of it, plus a better support model, might as well just go iPhone. So yeah, Samsung, you're right. Samsung releases monthly security updates. On T-Mobile, I do know this. T-Mobile does not release those security updates monthly. T-Mobile pushes them to your phone quarterly. So even though Samsung is doing the right thing and they are keeping up with Google neck and neck on security updates, your carrier could be doing the wrong thing and keeping your phone insecure for up to 90 days.
I mean, that could be an OTA. I mean, bandwidth, a whole bunch. It could be as simple as they don't want to deal with the support calls.
Exactly. Like there are valid business reasons for them to hold back updates. They're like holding back updates. It's not like a lazy sysadmin thing. It's not some guy sitting in his high tower surrounded by like green screen terminals going, now I can hack everyone's phones. It's literally some guy who's been overworked. He's putting in 80-hour weeks and he's like, I literally cannot take another call from somebody who thinks their phone is getting hacked because it says you have to update. Like there are absolutely valid reasons to hold back updates. It's not just IT companies or IT personnel just being lazy or not wanting to do the work. So I get it. But this is the benefit that Apple has by not having any intermediaries, right? When they want to update your phone, they will do so. No one gets a say in it, not even you.
Again, we will stick with, if you want an iPhone, go iPhone. If you want Android, stick to the Pixel 2. If you really like Samsung for whatever reason, go with Samsung. But all three of these are the same price. So just pick which one you want. You'll be happy with any one of the three. Our recommendation is not Samsung, but any of the three. And I think like you, I think the next phone I get, which will be in a while, not next year, would probably be an iPhone. I think I'm ready to move over again.
Yeah, I know it's not directly security related, but I'm just done with Google yanking me around. Like I don't know if Google tomorrow is going to just deprecate phones entirely and be like, yeah, we're only doing brain chips now. Phones are old. Your phones no longer work as of next month. Totally deprecated. Or if Google gets a weird, nasty security bug in Android, they're like, we can't tell people about this. Let's just shut off everyone's phones. So we don't have to come clean about not dealing with a security vulnerability.
I'm tired of them starting to really kill projects that I was actively using because not too many people were using it. But anyway, let's move on. We'll revisit this again next year, next month, next week.
I'm sure.
Last thing, we're a week from election season, from election day.
First things first, vote.
Yes.
Go vote. If you want a good, nonpartisan, totally open way to figure out what is on your ballot, and it gives you a bunch of check boxes. It walks you through the voting process and what's going to be on your particular ballot. You can go to vote411.org. Totally nonpartisan, lays all the issues, all the people out on the table. It's a fantastic website. And if you wanted to donate to them, do so. Great bunch of people. I use Vote411 every single election. They're great.
Again, we don't care who you vote for, just vote. I mean, you turn on the TV and you hear a whole bunch of nonsense, either pro or con, whatever your belief system is, and now is a chance to make it happen. Do something about it, vote for it. But the point is that at DEF CON, they keep on talking about election security. This is a big topic, and I just don't think it's going away. And it's one of those things that it's really scary. You hear stories out of Texas where if you voted straight party lines, it would switch it.
Yep.
And who would have known?
Which, by the way, isn't a hack. It's literally a software bug for a system that hasn't had updates, like regular bug fixes, in over a year.
And it's one of those that the election systems are saying, hey, wait a second, you're reverse engineering. That's illegal. We're going to sue you. And it's, no, why can't you just secure your stuff? We're talking about foreign adversaries hacking our elections. And your response is, well, I don't know what you're talking about. And it's just mind boggling. It's that the government is giving these contracts and they're taking the word of the election manufacturers, or maybe they're trying, but they're not trying hard enough, or whatever it is. I mean, I'm hoping this is not political, like, oh, if we check into this, it's going to be more pro one party versus another. But I have a feeling that's what it is.
So every security person will tell you, and it's not just us tech heads being like, wow, that's a hard problem and we don't want to solve it, so just go back to paper. No, literally, we cannot solve this problem. This is one of the hardest problems in computer science, is how do you make a secure electronic election system? And right now, without a massive sea change, without like technology that I can't even comprehend, that hasn't even entered the public consciousness, or nobody has even thought about, it's not even a twinkle in someone's eye right now, right? Without something absolutely massive and world-shattering happening, electronic voting machines cannot be secured. There's no way. Paper is the most secure option. If you have the ability to shove a piece of paper in an envelope and stick it in a mailbox, just like I did Saturday night.
Just like I did just today.
Yeah, like, do it. That is literally the most secure way. I took this tool, this extremely complicated, dexterous tool, and for our audio listeners, I'm holding up my pen. It's a Pilot G2, by the way. Great pen. I filled out the little bubbles. I stuffed it in an envelope, and it was totally secure.
Was it free?
It was free. I didn't even have to put a stamp on it. It was great. Election machines are awful. They're horribly insecure. A lot of them have like their own ad hoc Wi-Fi networks. Some of them can be hacked with like ballpoint pens. Like, these things are no joke. They are seriously comically insecure. It's actually hilarious.
Look, I think that at least in New Jersey, where I live, you don't need a reason to vote absentee. So when we register people, I would also register people to vote absentee. It gives you time to look at it. You're not rushed. You're not trying to find your polling place. And you may like that. You want the sticker, we can get you stickers. I mean, there's a whole bunch of other stuff. It's just you get to relax, you get to read the directions, the public questions, because you're all busy. And guess what? They can count it when they get around to it. So someone can actually look at it. And the only thing you really have to worry about, and at least in this country, we don't have that problem, is like the mail having problems. And if you don't believe that, you can actually go to where they drop it off, which for me is about 10 minutes away. So I can actually drive there and just hand it to the county official and be done with it.
So when I voted, I got this cool little stub, and I'm making sure to cover up all of the identifying information on it. This little tear-off stub allows me to go to a website to see if my vote has been counted yet or not. It allows me to track my ballot through the election system. It's really cool. So we can still get the benefit of like nice electronic things with paper. And I'm totally going to second what you said. I always felt rushed at polling places. Like there's this giant line that wraps around a building. Like I don't want to be the dude holding stuff up, looking at the issues on my phone, because I got surprised. I literally pulled up vote411.org, sat here with my ballot and my pen, read everything, did some research on the side. Like I had a bunch of tabs going. It was great. So vote by mail, vote absentee. If you're in Washington State, they just mail you a ballot and you just mail it back before Election Day. Super simple. I highly suggest voting by mail because it's super lazy and super secure.
Again, it's a federal agency who takes your mail too. That's the other thing. It's not, so they actually have a reason to count it. And look, it's everything that we could want it to be. And by the way, when you hear about companies you should give off for Election Day, you should do this. This actually helps the Postal Service because now they have work to do. It keeps you at work, which is what your company wants. And it's secure in knowing that your vote at least should count. I mean, I hear everyone saying, oh, absentee ballots don't count. But guess what? If everyone does it, it's going to start counting.
Yeah. So not only that thing just dinged and I lost my whole train of thought. That's awful.
You're probably talking about how it doesn't count, but it does.
Yeah. Oh, no, it counts. Whether or not your vote counts in a sea full of people, we've seen some really close elections, especially in local elections. We've seen things come down to less than 10 votes before. So go out there, do your part, fill in some bubbles, and drop it in a mailbox. The thing you should take away from this conversation, though, is that if somebody tries to sell you on a super encrypted blockchain solution using non-repudiation and GraphQL databases, just no, you cannot vote electronically in a secure way. It just doesn't happen. Ask any Twitter poll. It's not possible. Voting on paper is the only way to do it. Even if you have to go to a place and like put your piece of paper in a box, just way miles more secure than any electronic system anyone has come up with to date.
So anyway, we're over time, but that was a good talk because hopefully at this point, it's probably too late to register. So if you haven't registered, try to figure out if that's available to you. But if you have vote, and you know what, start looking into vote by mail. You'll be happier, and it is just the best thing ever.
It really is.
Okay, everyone, let's end because we're running over, and we will see you, I don't know, next week, but hopefully, if not very soon. Bye.
See you, everyone.